Hi everyone, this is Nicole Coleman with the second part on Impuls Deutsch 2. Let me start with a couple of ideas that we had about textbooks in general and this textbook in particular. We know that many of you may not actually be using a textbook for the second year of learning. We at Wayne State University here in Detroit only use one for the third semester, but not for the fourth semester. So we're slowly moving towards seminars. And we wanted that. We wanted that for Impuls Deutsch 2 as well. And so the second part of this book is actually under a theme. So it has a seminar style while also giving you everything that textbooks give you, which is a sequence, vocabulary, the Quizlet sets, grammar explanation, and practice. So it's kind of an in-between approach, seminar with textbook. And the theme that we chose aims to show the diversity in the German-speaking countries under umbrella question of who are we and how do we tick? That's really what it is all about. There was an original plan that didn't quite pan out, but I want to talk about it just because of the why it didn't work out. We had wanted to highlight three groups of people who have been marginalized in Germany, who are traditionally underrepresented. And those three groups were Black Germans, Turkish Germans, and Jewish Germans. We invited three guest authors, Priscilla Lane, Tidem Ucha, and Joela Jacobs, to help us out as experts to make sure we really tackle these topics appropriately. And yeah, came up with 3 chapters. Those didn't work though, because there were 2 problems. One is if we write, or when we wrote really, the chapters or the chapter sequence, we concentrated on problems, and that's not what we wanted. Sure, there are problems and we want to tackle those problems, but we also want to show the everyday life and the everyday contributions of everyone within this country. The second problem was that we kept the groups separate. We didn't want that. We wanted to show them as an integral part of German-speaking societies and cultures, not as add-ons, not as another part of it, but as a part of the whole. So what we did was we put all the first chapters on top of each other and looked at kind of convergences. So where were there topics that were present in all of them? And we did find new themes that now all represent the diversity of German-speaking countries by having the groups everywhere and centered everywhere. Before I get to the topics, just one more word about grammar. We will do a different video on grammar. The only thing that I want to mention here is that the focus in this 4th semester is the flexibility of moving between different registers, adding information, and so on. So chapter 5 reviews all cases in word order. Chapter 6 tackles all tenses and asks students to move from one to another. Chapter 7 then focuses on connecting sentences, both main clauses and subordinate clauses, with all the different options there. And chapter 8 helps students to add information to nouns with left and right side attributes. We will talk more about that in another video, but now I really want to get to the topics. So chapter 5 could actually be the theme for the whole second part. It asks, wer sind wir? And has the subtitle of Deutsch im Plural. We talk about migration histories, diaspora, DNA. We also talk about topics like guest workers, but look at them from a slightly different angle because we're doing the Mat Germanes, so the Mozambican guest workers in the GDR. Special in this chapter is that we have so-called Blickpunkte, where we highlight 43 biographies of famous Germans. And this enables the students then in the end to write a biography, which is the project for this chapter. Chapter 6 asks, wie unterhalten wir uns, and covers different media, radio, TV, film, internet, all of it. And topics range from Lindenstrasse to Queer Eye, podcasts like Rise and Shine to post-migrant theater and virtual realities. In this last one, we asked students to create a virtual reality environment on their campus, which could very well be their project for chapter 6, which is just a media contribution. So it could be anything. It could be a podcast, could be a trailer, could be that virtual reality thing. Chapter 7 is owed to the fact that we found that activism loomed really large in our original setup of chapters. So we asked, wofür, wogegen sind wir? And we look at historical aspects, so resistance in and against the Third Reich, the 68 protest movement, but also more current activism, such as Black German activism from Maya Yim, among others, to today's struggles to rename places that bear colonial names. We also think about carnival as a form of protest and comedy that pushes limits. The project in this chapter is really cool. It breaks down the classroom walls and asks students to petition for a name change of a street or the removal of a monument to colonists in the German-speaking world. So it's actually a public project. Chapter 8 is our local chapter, and we ask, was prägt uns? Here we look at transatlantic relations and begin with migration histories from Europe to North America and North America to Europe. We look at influences on each other, mainly with language and music, and we also compare political and educational systems and the way we do and enjoy sports. We also talk about scientific knowledge and transfer, and the project in this chapter is actually a research project. So very much moving students then to what they need to do in seminars. In this chapter, cultural theory is really significant too, and we discuss culture shock and cultural standards. We have some games for the students to play, one that actually my students came up with and I'm super proud of. And it adds a tangible experience of these cultural issues and ideas. We conclude the book by looking back and asking, so how did this learning German präg, influence you, impact you? What impulses did you gain? And of course, that's something we really want to see and know. How did students change? What have they gained? And so that's the conclusion of the series and of the second part of the book. I hope you check out the material. There's a lot up there on the CLEP page already. And if you have any questions, ask us in the Slack channel, send us emails. We're happy to answer all of them. So thank you and bye.